Dhiren Baral, a name that would come to evoke both fear and loathing in the hearts of many, stood as a testament to the complexities of duty, vengeance, and the blurred lines between justice and obsession. Born on the plain of Kaladesh, a land renowned for its ingenuity and ether-fueled wonders, Baral emerged as a product of his environment, a man whose rigid adherence to the law was only matched by his profound disdain for those who dared to defy it. Kaladesh, with its gleaming spires and bustling markets, was a world powered by the ingenuity of its inventors and the ever-present flow of ether, a substance that was as vital to the plain as air or water. But beneath the surface of this vibrant society, there was an undercurrent of tension. The Consulate, the governing body that ruled over Kaladesh with a firm hand, was determined to maintain control over the flow of ether, regulating its use to ensure that the delicate balance of power remained in their favor. To this end, they employed officers like Dhiren Baral, men whose unwavering loyalty to the Consulate made them ideal instruments of enforcement. Baral's career in the Consulate began unremarkably, his early years spent diligently carrying out the mundane tasks assigned to him. However, it was his innate talent for magic, a skill he kept hidden from most, that set him apart from his peers. His magic was not the kind that conjured flames or summoned creatures. It was a cold, calculating power that could snuff out the flames of others, a perfect counter to the pyromancers who posed the greatest threat to the Consulate's authority. It was this talent that brought Baral into direct conflict with a young Chandra Nalaar, a pyromancer of exceptional potential. Chandra, a fiery and impulsive child, had unknowingly become the focal point of Baral's growing obsession. Her ability to wield fire magic, combined with her defiance of the Consulate's laws, made her a target in Baral's eyes, a symbol of everything that he believed was wrong with the world. She was an affront to the order he so desperately sought to maintain. The clash between Baral and Chandra would prove to be a turning point in both their lives. When Baral first encountered Chandra, she was little more than a child, barely able to control the flames that flickered at her fingertips. But Baral saw in her the seeds of chaos, a potential threat that needed to be eradicated before it could fully blossom. He was relentless in his pursuit, driven not only by his duty to the Consulate, but by a deeply personal vendetta that grew with each encounter. Baral's obsession reached its zenith in the village of Bunarat, where Chandra and her family had sought refuge. Under the guise of enforcing the law, Baral descended upon the village with a cold, methodical precision. He stabbed Dhiren Nalaar, Chandra's father, in the stomach, a calculated move meant to both incapacitate and torment. He then set fire to the village, a blaze that would consume not only the homes of the villagers, but also the life Chandra had known. In the official record, it was Chandra who was blamed for the fire, the deaths, and the destruction. Baral, with a grim satisfaction, had twisted the truth to serve his own ends. But in his zeal, Baral underestimated the power of the very magic he sought to extinguish. When he attempted to execute Chandra in Girapur, the capital city of Kaladesh, he inadvertently ignited her planeswalker spark, a latent power that allowed her to traverse the multiverse. In that moment, Chandra was transported to the distant plain of Regatha, but not before her flames seared Baral's face, leaving him permanently scarred both physically and mentally. The once proud and statuesque officer was now a figure of grotesque disfigurement, his face a mask of twisted flesh hidden behind a filigree covering. Baral's fall from grace was swift. Demoted from captain to lieutenant, he became a man consumed by hatred and a thirst for revenge. His superiors in the Consulate, recognizing the dangerous obsession that now drove him, sought to distance themselves from his actions. Yet Baral, undeterred, continued his vendetta against the Nalaar family. He captured Dhiren Nalaar, Chandra's mother, and subjected her to months of psychological torment, cruelly telling her that her daughter was dead, all the while knowing that Chandra was very much alive. The years that followed saw Baral's descent into the shadows of Girapur, where he operated with increasing autonomy, his actions veering further from the Consulate's official directives. It was during this period that he crossed paths with the planeswalker Tezzeret, a man of cunning and ambition who saw in Baral a useful pawn. Tezzeret enlisted Baral's help in stealing the best inventions from the Inventors' Fair, a grand event that showcased the ingenuity of Kaladesh's brightest minds. Baral's role was simple yet crucial. Distract Chandra Nalaar, whose presence at the fair posed a threat to Tezzeret's plans. Baral eagerly accepted the task, seeing it as another opportunity to settle old scores. But even as he lured Chandra away from her companions and into a carefully laid trap, he found himself confronted not just by her flames, but by the indomitable will of Nisa Revan, another planeswalker. Outnumbered and outmatched, Baral was forced to retreat, his plans foiled by the very forces he sought to control. The final act of Baral's story on Kaladesh came during the chaos of the Phyrexian invasion. Imprisoned for his crimes in the infamous Dund, a dark and foreboding place where the Consulate sent its most dangerous enemies, Baral found himself once again thrust into the heart of conflict. When the prison was damaged in an attack, Baral seized the opportunity to escape, only to find himself surrounded by the monstrous Phyrexians. His life would have ended there had it not been for the intervention of Kari Zev, a notorious skyship pirate with a reputation for both daring and ruthlessness. Kari Zev, recognizing Baral for who he was, offered him a choice: fight alongside her against the Phyrexians or be thrown overboard to meet a swift end. Reluctantly, Baral agreed, though it was clear to both that their alliance was one born of necessity, not trust. Throughout their time together, Kari's first mate, Ragavan, kept a watchful eye on Baral, ever wary of the man who had betrayed so many in the name of duty. In the end, it was Baral's actions during the invasion that led the new consulate to overlook his past transgressions. His zealous defense of Kaladesh, whether driven by a desire for redemption or merely survival, earned him a measure of forgiveness in the eyes of those who now held power. Yet for Baral, the scars, both physical and emotional, remained, a constant reminder of the path he had chosen and the lives he had destroyed along the way. Baral's story is one of tragedy, a tale of a man whose rigid adherence to duty and law blinded him to the humanity of those he pursued. In his quest to maintain order, he became the very thing he sought to destroy, a figure of chaos driven by vengeance and consumed by the flames of his own hatred.